Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Darin with Your Influence, Darin.
Thank you. Jacob, welcome guests. What is your influence on other people? Sometimes when you're walking down the street and you see someone smile at you, do you smile back? I want you to take a moment and think about what your influence is on those around you. A few years ago, a young couple sat in a doctor's office. The cardiologist said to them, to the young woman, you have a heart problem. You have what's called rheumatic heart disease, where the valves in your heart have narrowed and the blood does not flow through them. You need to terminate your pregnancy and have your heart fixed. The young couple looked at the doctor. They looked at each other. The doctor, seeing the confusion in their eyes, excused himself from the room and said, "I will give you some time to talk about it." As the doctor left the room, the young couple looked at each other, and the young woman said, "We have to have this baby. This baby will be a part of our family." From that moment on, this couple knew that that baby would be a part of their life. What is your influence on other people? A few months after that, they saw doctor after doctor. Doctors who specialized with the heart. Doctors who specialized in pregnancies where a woman had a problem with her heart. As they saw these doctors did the best that they could to make sure that the couple felt comfortable. As time went on, the young woman was induced a couple weeks early and gave birth to a 6-pound, 9-ounce baby boy with no complications. What is your influence on other people? Do you think that this young woman had an influence on this baby boy? Numerous years later, 7 to be exact, this same young couple went in to see the doctor. The doctor explained to her how the ring that the previous doctor had put in her heart had begun to narrow again and cause problems. He explained to her that they needed to push a balloon into her heart valve and open it up so that the blood could flow properly. As the time came for her surgery, they got in there, and as they were about to put the balloon in, they noticed that there was a blood clot in her left atrium, and that she would not be able to have this procedure done, because a clot, if it loosened up, would move to her brain and cause a stroke. They put her on blood thinners, hoping to dissolve the clot. A few weeks went by, and she actually went on a vacation to visit her brother-in-law, who was getting married in California. It was about a 14-hour drive. They took the time to drive. They had no problem. She was tired, but they had a great time in California. As they returned from California, that night, as she went to bed, she started to have some complications. She started to cough. She started to feel unwell. The next morning, I got up. I got the kids ready for school. And when I got home, my wife, Becky, was sitting on the floor coughing. There was a little bit of fluid that had come out of her lungs onto the floor. And as I looked down, I said, "Is that from your lungs or from your stomach?" She said, "I don't know." At that point, I scooped her up, I put her in the car, and we were off to the emergency room, which was 10 minutes away. We got in the emergency room, and the doctors didn't know what was wrong with her. I tried to explain to them that she had had some heart problems and that they needed to call her cardiologist. After 7 hours in the emergency room, they decided that she needed to be airlifted from Logan Regional Hospital to University Hospital in Salt Lake City. She was airlifted, and as she flew away, I stood there on the helicopter pad watching the helicopter fly away, wondering what was happening in my life. What kind of an influence do you have on others? I got going down the road, driving down the road, and realized that I had not eaten all day, and stopped at the Burger King on the way out of town. Here I was, a hamburger in one hand, a drink in the other, staring with my knee, and as I started to eat, all of a sudden a flood of emotion started to come to me, and tears started streaming down my face. All of a sudden, I'm driving along, I can't see. I'm going to die driving on the way to see my wife. I did get down there without any problems. And as I got down there, my wife was laying there in the ICU with tubes in her throat and all sorts of wires coming out of her. And the hospital staff not knowing why she was there. I explained to them why she was there, and she spent another week in the recovery of the ICU. She was finally well enough to where the doctors decided that they could do heart surgery on her and fix some of the problems with her valves in her heart. As they decided to do this, she spent another 2 weeks in the hospital. 1 week after she had the surgery done. Her recovery in the hospital was spent in a room with another patient, where only a curtain divided the room. During that time, friends and family of people from the other patients came into the room, and we were able to meet a few of the people that were in the same room with her. Some of them weren't very happy, some of them were. I remember one in particular that every person that came into this room to meet this patient with diabetes, they would get upset with her. She would get upset with them because of her attitude and the way she made people feel. But I remember every time a nurse came into Becky's hospital room, she would smile and let them know how grateful she was that they were there taking care of her. What is your influence on other people? Well, she did get home after 3 weeks in the hospital. And recently, we just celebrated my son's 11th birthday. What is your influence on other people? She is a very happy person and has an influence on other people. Just ask my 11-year-old son. Whether it be a smile, whether it be the way we sit down and talk to someone and how we talk to them, what is your effect and your influence on those people around you? Jacob. That was a different speech.
Yes, it was.
Wow. I added things and cut things out.